The QEH Pulse radio show brought to you with the kind compliments of MedSafe Medical Supply.
For all your medical supply needs, visit MedSafe Medical Supplies Limited. We offer a wide range of products including wheelchairs, walkers, canes, crutches, blood pressure machines, stethoscopes, and so much more. Conveniently located on Gemmett's Lane, just a 2-minute walk from the Queen Elizabeth Hospital. And for your convenience, we deliver free to the QEH. Open Monday to Saturday, 8:30 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. Call us at 624-7542. MedSafe Medical Supplies Limited, your trusted source for medical essentials.
Pleasant good morning to you and welcome to another edition of the Pulse Radio Show. I'm your host, Shane Seeley, Communications Specialist with the Queen Elizabeth Hospital. And of course, the Queen Elizabeth Hospital is connecting with you, our patients, our visitors, our staff, and all Barbadians who use our tertiary care facility. It's always great to touch base with you and let you know what's happening within the walls of the QEH. A lot happening this week especially. It is Patient Safety Week 2025 being led by our Clinical Risk Management Unit. So I want to salute the team there. Always doing an awesome job in educating not only our staff but the wider public on everything that we are doing in relation to patient safety. They had their church service on Sunday. We should always start everything with praise to the Most High. And we got a lot planned for the week, got tidbits and other things today. But more importantly for the public, on Wednesday will be the open day and our clinical risk manager, Sandra Beckles-Hackett, will be on for a few minutes to talk a bit about that and why it's so important that the hospital focuses on patient safety. So we'll be talking a bit about that as we go through the morning. And of course, we are raising awareness across the board. Last week, we had Dr. O'Shea and the team speaking about what we are doing as far as transplant surgery, especially renal transplants. Some successful surgeries, as she would have mentioned last week, done in recent weeks. And we are very glad that we can have those positive outcomes for our patients and for their families, because it helps them to move away from that dependency on the artificial kidney unit, getting dialysis, to a bit more of a normal lifestyle. Yes, there is some transition period, but it's all about getting off of that dependence of AKU, having to do that almost on a daily basis, and you are now living a new and healthier life. So that was last week, where we focused on transplant surgery. This week, we're focusing on colorectal cancer and the awareness building across the board. And I have the pleasure of welcoming my guest here this morning in Dr. Shabier St. John. He was here already last year. We spent some time with him talking about this same topic. We'll find out what has happened since then. But good to have on our GI surgeon here with us. He's a part of our gastrointestinal, you can pronounce the word for me.
Gastrointestinal unit.
Yeah, our GI unit as it's better known. And he's been doing a lot of great work. He came from doing surgery this morning to be here with us. And we also have our friends from the Colon Cancer Initiative, the Caribbean Colon Cancer Initiative. Nurse Esther Sargeant is back with me as well to talk about all that they have been doing. From the start of the month, they have a list of activities throughout the week. But before we get to them, I want to really focus in on this Patient Safety Week and why it's so important for us. And during Patient Safety Week, we are addressing systemic issues in patient safety. It starts with you. And let me welcome Sandra Beckles-Hackett on. She is our clinical risk manager. Good morning, Sandra. Great to have you on. I know you'll be busy this week from the 9th to the 15th, and you started with a great church service. How are things going for this 2025 Patient Safety Week?
Good morning, Mr. Seeley. Thank you very much for having us on your call this morning. Our week, as you said, started off with a bang yesterday at the Guiding Light Tabernacle, Marshall Parkinson's Gap. We worshipped yesterday with Apostle Clark and his congregation, and we got a good blessing for our week of activities. You mentioned earlier why is it important for patient safety. Patient safety is our major role here at the institution, the Queen Elizabeth Hospital. And what we try to do, we try to give safe care. And sometimes what might happen is that some things might happen, but what we want to have is that when something does happen, is that we have either proactively picked it up, or if we haven't, actually start trying to put things in place to improve things. So that's why we are having our theme addressing systemic issues in patient safety. It starts with me, meaning it starts with every one of us, the patients and our staff members. So what we have a full week of activities, both fun activities as well as some serious stuff, Mr. Seeley. We have some tidbit sessions, one going on right now in the ophthalmology conference room. We're looking at diabetes. And on Thursday, we'll have another tidbit session looking at our wound care. The other thing that we have where we're having a talk session is our conference on Friday in the auditorium from 10 until 1, highlighting the system. Usually when persons think of patient safety, they think of, the doctor or the nurse. But what we are trying to demonstrate is that every member, every team within the QEH, their role is patient safety. So we're having some good presentations that are going to be coming from our human resources team, from our engineers team, from our IT team, and from our pharmacy, and then following up from our legal team. So we see we're including the other areas that persons tend not to think about. Yeah. So, and then apart from that, the fun activities would be, we're having an open day, and that's going to be open to everyone, staff, and we're going to have some very informative booths around. We have different initiatives, quality initiatives. Those booths will be set up. We have our external partners who will be coming in to show their wares and to show how they are helping, because our external partners are also going to be helping as if it relates to patient safety and informing persons as to what they need to do to keep themselves healthy. Then we're going to have scavenger hunt on the Thursday, and we're using key patient safety clues so that persons are more aware, as well as we're on today, along with the tidbit session, we are just letting our partners, letting our other staff members know that we are thankful that they are part of the patient safety work that is happening here. So all of this is being done by a small group here in the Clinical Risk Management Unit, very hard-working team, just 6 of us here in the department putting on this week. And that is important, that we let persons know that it don't have to be a big group or small group. As long as you want to share information, get going.
Yeah, it's all about getting better together. I really want to congratulate you and the team for doing some awesome work. You normally have the biggest open day at the hospital. Will we see some schools passing through as well? Or can we put out the invitation to schools right here?
Yes, you can. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. Thank you very much.
Yes, so we're inviting schools, really everyone, to pass through the ground floor corridors. We will be having some works on the ground floor at the same time, so you'll get some direction from our security on how to best navigate. But it's all about promoting patient safety during Patient Safety Week, and especially during our open day where you'll see Sandra, her team, and a number of staff members from across several departments at the hospital on our corridors for what will be another amazing Patient Safety Week for 2025, and another amazing open day along with the other activities. Sandra Beckles-Hackett, our clinical risk manager. I really want to thank you very, very much for sharing with us and continue the great work with your team.
Thank you, and thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah, I appreciate your time. So
Thank
yes,
you.
Sandra Beckles-Hackett, our clinical risk manager, they're doing some awesome work promoting patient safety across our hospital and really sharing with the public, having that opportunity this Wednesday for you and the team to come in. When I say you and the team, I'm talking about the public, those schools who want to attend, or you may be a part of a company and want to understand how best you can promote safety in your workplace. You can find yourself at the QEH on Wednesday to get some of that great information with us. Now let's get back to today's topic. We're focusing on building awareness during this month. It's all about wearing blue. Colorectal Cancer Awareness Month. We had an open day on Friday on our ground floor at the hospital for people to get more information and understand what they can do. The Pulse Radio Show this time around has been more about helping people to be more proactive in their approach. Yes, coming to the hospital, but generally making your health a priority and knowing what to do and how to navigate the system to best understand how you can be a bit more proactive in your approach to your health. I have with me again Dr. St. John back. He is one of our GI surgeons doing some great work at the hospital. As I said, thank you for taking the time this morning. I know you were very busy with a surgery this morning. You have more to do after you leave the show. Talk to us about how we go about building awareness, especially around colon cancer, one of the leading causes of death, mortality in our country.
Well, the first thing is to know that everyone has a colon, because there is a common misconception that that might not be the case. But everyone has a colon. It's an organ for getting rid of waste products of digestion. And Barbados right now is number 8 in the world in incidence of colon cancer, along with Japan. So if anybody wants to remember one thing from the program, that we both drive on the left-hand side of the road, we both have a lot of Japanese cars on the road, but we both are high in the rate of incidence of colon cancer. But unlike Japan, we do not have a very good screening program, and we do not have very good education about colon cancer. So typically, colon cancer would occur between the ages of 60 and 70. But in Barbados and in the Caribbean, we are seeing a worrying trend that 10% of cases are between the ages of 39 and 50. So there is a genetic or familial predisposition. And all cases that we diagnose, 7 out of 10 are what we call advanced. So it has already spread beyond the colon, having a potential to spread throughout the body, somewhere along that line of spreading throughout the body to other organs like the liver, the lungs, and such. And particularly in that younger cohort, they will more likely have a higher stage at diagnosis. And so we are trying to screen people ages 10 to 15 to 20 years before a cancer might develop. And how we know that this is possible is that the little growths that occur in the colon, which we call polyps, tend to happen 10 to 15 years before they morph or mutate into a cancer.
Right.
And so it's the detection of that is what we're working on, and educating people that they need to go to their polyclinic, to their doctor, to whoever that they know in the healthcare system and say, how do I get screened, or how do I have a conversation about what my risk is, right? So either you had no family with colon cancer, and so your average risk, so again, we're looking at 60 to 70 when you might pop up with something. So we're talking about screening 45, 50, that kind of age. Or if you had a relative with it, then you need to be having that conversation a lot earlier. And then we can, talk more about what those screening tests are, but just the awareness that this is a problem in Barbados, that I myself am seeing 2 or 3 cases a week, and I'm sure I'm not the only surgeon that they're going to. I cannot handle that, right? So there must be a number of cases, and unfortunately, I would just take yesterday, for example, in speaking to my colleagues, there were 3 or 4 cases that came with the bowel blocked or ruptured from cancer.
Wow.
That's not happening every day, but that just rams the message home that this is a problem, and we do not want to wait until you need surgery. We do not want, because that is, very stressful on the body. You may not recover. Even if you recover, there may be disseminated spread of disease. The cost to you in terms of your livelihood, and the cost to Barbados and the economy, right, in terms of these surgeries are very costly, right, to the person and to the country, to the institution. And so prevention is better than cure 100% of the time, and so that's why we're in the habit of having this conversation and trying to educate people.
Yeah, and what you say makes sense, and in terms of dollars and cents, it makes more sense to be screened early.
Yes.
Get that detection.
Yes.
And find out what the next steps would be from your healthcare provider in the primary setting.
Correct.
Before
for sure
coming to the tertiary setting.
Correct.
For some kind of surgery.
Yes.
Where then you're living a life which will be more costly because you have caught the situation late.
Yes. So if you are alive long enough, so unfortunately 2/3 of patients are dead within 3 years, right?
Wow.
That's what we're trying to fight against.
And this is when you catch the
yes.
cancer, colorectal cancer, at what stage?
When you present with a diagnosis, or you present with symptoms and are diagnosed. So you're not doing your screening, you're just living your life, and you may have been having a change in your bowel habit, you may have seen blood in the stool, you may have been having bloating, but you put it one side, which is something that I also want to address. So in Barbados and the Caribbean, we like to say, leave it alone, don't bother it, don't even think about it, because it won't manifest. And that ends up being a self-fulfilling prophecy, because you avoid primary care, you avoid screening, you avoid going to the doctor. That problem is not going anywhere, right? It's just going to get worse and worse. And when you finally come, well, you're at an extreme state, and there's not that much we can do. Our hands are tied. We're batting on a sticky wicket, right? Or the playing field is not level. Mm-hmm. But then what happens is, when you don't have a great outcome, we will be told, well, it's because we went to the QEH, or it's because we went to the doctor. But that's really not the case. We don't want that. We try our best, but prevention is better than cure. We can't say it enough. Don't be afraid. If you come early, then these polyps are removed, and that is the end of it, right?
For the listeners out there, you spoke about symptoms. What you mentioned, blood in the stool. What are some of these symptoms that persons can look out for that probably could suggest the worst case scenario, that colorectal cancer is present?
Right. So first thing, change in bowel habit. So what that means is, if you were somebody who went, let's say, once or twice a day, and now you're going once a week, or even if you're somebody who has a nice regular movement, but now you're having little spurts of liquid or high volumes of liquid, whatever your normal was, if there's any deviation, that's a red flag. It may not be cancer, but you should have a conversation with your healthcare provider so that you can investigate and rule it out, right? If you have blood or mucus in your stool, if you're having bloating, significant distension, before you go to the bathroom, if you absolutely stop passing gas at all, right, then that's when things are very extreme. Or if you feel very tired, like you don't have any energy as you did before to do normal tasks, it may be a sign of what we call anemia, or your blood count is low, because these cancers can occur on the side of the colon as it begins, and by the time that blood gets to the end, it's mixed in the stool and you can't see it. So those people then present much later. But again, I can't stress enough, we don't want to wait for that. We want you to go from the age of 40 to start having a conversation with your doctor. Not to say that we're going to do any tests at 40, but start having a conversation. Now colon cancer is number 2, in men and in women. Breast cancer, I love that there's a lot of breast cancer awareness. I myself like to go on the walk, and I like to see everybody in pink, and I partake. And now prostate cancer, thankfully, is getting some traction, but we need not forget about the second most common and deadly cancer. So we need everybody to start having that conversation.
And you and the colon cancer initiative, the Caribbean Colon Cancer Initiative, better known as CCCI, will be hitting the road on the 23rd of March for what will be the Colon Cancer Awareness Walk, the 6K walk and run. You're being welcome to join the team there at Golden Square, and walking together to raise awareness is all about wearing blue. So put that down on your calendar, the 23rd. The person who has been working hard on this calendar and really is a champion for colon cancer in Barbados is Nurse Esther Sargeant. From the time I got into the hospital, she approached me and spoke about trying to raise more awareness about colon cancer, the dangers, and about getting detection early. That screening is so important. Nurse Sargeant, great to have you back with us on the Pulse Radio Show. Talk a bit about the work you've done, and you have a comprehensive calendar. You had a number of events. You started with the church service, and then you and the team, well, some of our members of our team as well, went on Morning Barbados. You arranged that to make sure that we are starting to get some movement out there again. Talk to us about what you have been working on as far as building the awareness and getting into the psyche of Barbadians that they need to pay more attention to colon cancer and their colon health.
Hi, good morning. Thanks for having me once again. I must say the Caribbean Colon Cancer Initiative, they would have seen the need for a health promotion nurse, and this is where I came in. They saw the benefits of having persons educated about colorectal cancer, and therefore it's my mission to help prevent and promote, and I do this mainly through education, but not just educating, but things that would seem interesting to persons, because you need to gather persons' attention for them to actually want to be involved in something. So therefore, I go with my team to the length and breadth of Barbados, whether it be churches, schools, whoever, and we try to have conversations with persons to get them to understand the importance of screening. And I know Dr. St. John would have spoke in terms of persons presenting late and having obstructions and things like that. And this is where we at the Caribbean Colon Cancer Initiative seek not to let happen. So if persons are educated enough and they're screened in the early, then we can prevent these things from occurring. So we normally ask persons between the age of 45 to 75, but you've heard Dr. St. John said even as early as 40. And it is imperative that persons understand the need to be screened, because colon cancer is one of the cancers that can be prevented, and it's prevented through screening. Yet we're still number 8 in the world. So persons need to understand where they can be screened, and this is my task. I talk to various general practitioners. I go out into the churches, as I said, because persons need to be aware of where they can have some type of screening done, be it a colonoscopy, be it fit testing. They need to have something done in order to be aware of their status.
Indeed. You had the health fair over the weekend. How was that?
Well, the health fair, I must say again, thanks to Sagicorp and Sagicorp Cares, along with the Barbados Defense Force Emergency Medical Team, because they were the ones who came out to ensure that persons were able to access free health care. We had a pretty good turnout in terms of the insurance companies. We had the national organizations of women on board as well, because that health fair was actually held on International Women's Day. So we really want to say thanks to those persons who came out. We screened some persons. Some persons did not even know, as Dr. St. John said, that women should be screened for colorectal cancer. And this is where then we saw that there is definitely a need to still continue with the push or try to get persons to be aware that women too have colons and they need to be screened.
Well, I want to say, you mentioned women, and again, happy, it's gone now, but happy International Women's Day on that was on Saturday. You know, we really must salute women for their work, and we have been doing that, saluting them for their work in health care, or nurses, or doctors, or ancillary staff. Everyone at the hospital, we definitely wish them a happy International Women's Day on Saturday. We did it from Friday though, because Saturday is the weekend. We saw one of our engineers, or actually, sorry, I should say our Director of Engineering Services, Paula Agbuwu. She was featured in the Nation newspaper as one of those trailblazers. Engineering is a field that you really, it's dominated by men still. But a lot more females, a lot more women getting involved and doing great work there. So hats off to all of the women making a difference in whatever field you're doing on what was International Women's Day on Saturday. And now we speak about the differentiate the approach between women and men, Dr. St. John. And I know men tend to shy away from the doctor. Women tend to, if they see something, they get up and they make their way to their medical doctor, their general practitioner. For men, we tend to, all right, well, if it ease up and I feel a little better, I don't think I got to go anymore. There's a sort of a laid back approach when it comes to their health. Why should that not be the case when you're dealing with colon cancer?
It shouldn't be the case at all, but I definitely agree with you. That is a problem that we are faced with. Women, because they bring life into the world, and quite often that, especially in our setting, that is difficult without the help of healthcare professionals. They are much more comfortable and accustomed to seeking that assistance and more in tune with their bodies. And for the most part, women hunt me down for information. I'm looking at Esther when I say that, and she's laughing, but they definitely are very proactive, and they will call you and say, I would like to get this screening test done. And generally they have to drag their husbands or their fathers or their brothers, and
kicking and screaming.
Generally when I see a woman and I perform a colonoscopy or I do a test, that I say, what about your husband? For the most part, he will say next time, or he's a bit more skeptical and afraid. But I think for men as well, the problem is that in the Caribbean, colloquially, we do not like anybody going anywhere near our backside, and that's understandable. But that's something that we have to face head on.
So talk about the examination then.
Right. So.
And why shouldn't we be uncomfortable getting this examination?
So the first things first. Let's talk about the different screening modalities. I'll just back up a little bit. So what we're trying to detect with the FIT test is blood in the stool, microscopic amounts that cannot be seen with the naked eye. And so that is a test. It sounds gross, but really and truly, you can test the stool without you ever touching it. These kits are designed that you just have a little wand that, you just really even just have to pass it on the toilet paper, if that much. Esther's the expert at that, at getting you to understand how easy it is. And once you capture it, put it in the bottle's already labeled before you label it, put it in a bag, put it in an envelope, and then, we collect it, or you bring it back to a central location. And you have to do that test every year once it is negative, because the yield is not 100%. So you do it every year until, you reach an age where you do not think you'll be able to survive a surgery, because I'm not cutting off anybody from meeting the Governor General. You might be 80 and 90 and still perking and going to queue in the community and such. So I am not going to say to you, well, I'm not going to do any further tests. If I find something, I'm not going to do a surgery, because quite often we can remove the colon if you're fit and healthy and you live another 10, 15 years, right? So I want to debunk that myth that there's an absolute cutoff age for us to stop testing. Right? Once you are fit and healthy and you can survive, and most Barbadians that live to 75, 80, they're generally very fit and healthy, right? So to me, I don't condemn anybody, right? Now that is for people, the FIT test is for people who are asymptomatic, they want screening, it's very cheap, readily available. I know that it's available in the private sector for under $100. I don't want to call an exact figure, but I know that I've been working with the Ministry of Health. They have been procuring some kits as well that you can get through the polyclinic. So you need to go to your polyclinic and ask about that for no cost. Now, that test, if it is positive, or if you do want to go straight to the test that is the gold standard in terms of detection, it is the colonoscopy. And for that, we need to purge out your bowel so that it is clear, because we're going to go up there with a hose with a camera and a light throughout the colon and look at the lining. And if we see any abnormalities, if they're small enough, we can remove them. And those are polyps that are, if left for 10, 15 years, they would grow into a cancer. Or if you see something that looks like a cancer, you can biopsy it, and then you can do further tests to prepare that person to see what stage they are and decide what surgery is going to happen. But the problem with that test, the colonoscopy, and that's where people are most fearful, is number one, you have to do this bowel prep, which is not comfortable, but it's survivable, and it's you'll be in the toilet for half a day. But once the bowel is cleansed, we sedate you or give you anesthesia, and then we pass the tube to the end of the colon and come out. And usually that test lasts about 45 minutes at the longest. Like any procedure, there's risk, but it's very low risk. The risk of a major complication is, less than 1 in 1,000 to 1 in 5,000, depending on the patient. But the problem is that it is costly in terms of the equipment and the skilled expertise. So that's why we don't lead with that test, because we do not have the infrastructure to offer that to every Barbadian, which is 100,000 people over the age of 50 at this point in the census odd, to offer that in the public system, at its current capacity.
What was the cost of a procedure like that?
So roughly, I would say, if I'm being open market, I would say, let's just say like $5,000, right? Open market. Obviously, you're coming as a public patient. There's zero cost to you at the QEH.
Yes.
But there is some cost in terms of, taxpayers and contributions and what's not, but there's zero cost to you. But the problem is that we only have one unit, one room, one set of equipment, one set of nurses, one doctor. So we have to do them one at a time. At best, we will do 10 a day, Monday to Friday. So you can see, if you have 100,000 people to do and growing, because people are aging, you're not going to get through everybody in any time soon. So that's why we say, for average risk, let's get the fit test out there. If you're negative, we put you on that cycle. If you're positive, then we push to get you the colonoscopy. But we're not going to stop there, because we're agitating to raise funds, to raise awareness, and I am working in partnership with the Ministry of Health to expand the gastrointestinal unit, to get more equipment. We have skilled doctors, but we just don't have enough capacity for them at current moment, and we have to train some more nurses. So we are basically turning over every stone that we can to try to attack this problem from many different angles.
Expansion of the GI unit is critical, and it is happening. It's good to hear that something is on the cards so that we can cater to more Barbadians who need the service. And we would have seen, as a part of our strategy, we are getting more staff across the board, the 2025 to 2028 strategy. This is a good time to mention it has been published, it has been approved by the board, and if you want to get a glance of it, or you want to see it in its fullness, you can go to our website, www.qehconnect.com, where you can connect with the strategy and see all of these changes that will be happening at the hospital, these upgrades and enhancements over the next 3 years. We got to go back to Nurse Sargeant to talk about how the CCCI is really helping with screening across the board and across Barbados. So we'll do that right after this commercial break. Remember, we're sponsored by MedSafe Medical Supplies, where you can get all of your healthcare equipment.
For all your medical supply needs, visit MedSafe Medical Supplies Limited. We offer a wide range of products including wheelchairs, walkers, canes, crutches, blood pressure machines, stethoscopes, and so much more. Conveniently located on Gemmett's Lane, just a 2-minute walk from the Queen Elizabeth Hospital. And for your convenience, we deliver free to the QEH. Open Monday to Saturday, 8:30 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. Call us at 624-7542. MedSafe Medical Supplies Limited, your trusted source for medical essentials.
Here on the Pulse Radio Show, Season 3, Episode 5, with Dr. Shabier St. John. He is a colorectal surgeon. And Nurse Esther Sargeant with the Colon Cancer Initiative, the Caribbean Colon Cancer Initiative, which has been doing great work in terms of building awareness. And really, Nurse Sargeant, I want to hear from you as far as that is concerned. Yes, that's a part of it. The other part is getting people to see that prevention rather than cure is the better option. So that means getting people to be screened. How is the CCCI going about that? And before you get into that, let me mention, yes, you can call us at 4341007 and 4341070. You can also send us a WhatsApp at 4341007. We were having some initial challenges with the phone lines. That should be rectified now. So you can call us at those numbers, 4341007 and 4341070. Remember, we are talking about colorectal cancer, better known as colon cancer, and prevention and building awareness. Yes, so let's talk about what you're doing as far as getting people to be screened.
Okay, so in terms of getting persons to be screened, we attend various health fairs where they're able to receive the fit test from us, but we also sought to go to the general practitioners to ensure that these fit test kits are also available in office of doctors.
Well, okay. And when people go to their GPs, they get the fit test. Do they answer it? What is that conversation like?
So for most of the general practitioners that we would have reached out to, once you reach the age of 45 or even 40, they normally would do the screening for you. What I found is that some persons, because we would have attended health fairs, they would reach out to us as well after hearing the message, and they seek to get the fit test as individual persons as well. So we work both with general practitioners or through health fairs or any lectures that we would have gone to, and persons would have heard about the fit test and screening.
All right. So you'll hear more about that right here on the Pulse Radio Show and how you can get that fit test to start that screening process and really just be paying more attention, being more proactive as far as your health, your colon health is concerned. We do have a caller on the line. Let's go to our phone lines. Good morning. Welcome to the Pulse Radio Show. How can we help?
Yes, sir. Good morning. How are you doing, my brother?
You're back. You are
I'm better than ever.
How are you doing?
You're more than gracious and blessed with your presence here when I'm merciful, because all my blessings come from you. You're more than loving because you've touched me in a very exciting way, and you've more than made me happy with your family. You're more than my friend.
I hope that you are looking to get your screen for colon cancer.
Yes, sir. I think it is. I think it is extremely poignant at this time. I want to ask a couple of questions as well, Shane.
Go ahead.
Thank you very much. Yes, sir. Good morning. What is the difference between a colonoscopy and a colonography in terms of a person who has recovered from colorectal cancer?
Dr. St. John?
Right. So a colonoscopy is what I described before, where
Thank you.
Where you go up with the camera and you're looking live and direct at the lining of the bowel. A colonography is when you do the same clean out, but you will pump air and a contrast medium that's designed to light up on the x-ray. You will pump that in and you will do a CT scan, and through digital subtraction you kind of do a virtual colonoscopy. So it looks at the lining but virtually, three-dimensionally, and the yield is not as sensitive and specific as a colonoscopy. So polyps or growths under 5 millimeters might still be missed at a high rate. And of course, if you detect any abnormality, you still will have to do a colonoscopy to look at it and to biopsy it. So it is a good test as a substitution because, one, you don't have to have any sedation, so it's low risk in terms of injuries to the bowel or having to undergo sedation if you're not fit for such. But if there's any abnormality, you need to have a colonoscopy, and the colonoscopy, you can diagnose something and potentially treat it if it is removable. Now, for somebody who has had a colon cancer, generally we recommend a colonoscopy 1 year after. If they've had one to diagnose them and it was completed, you will have a colonoscopy 1 year after, and then if that is normal, 3 years after, and then every 5 years after that, because you are a high-risk person. So we wouldn't even mention a colonography after that. Now, if you've never had a colonoscopy and you presented with an emergency that your bowel was blocked, we will have to do that colonoscopy. Once we've done the surgery to remove the cancer and you've recovered, we need to do a colonoscopy within 3 to 6 months because we didn't look at the rest of the colon, and the rate of having two cancers at the same time in some studies is up to 10%. So I hope I was able to answer your question. You can...
In terms of a polyp that is benign or a polyp that is cancerous, what is the latest therapeutic remedy for a homosexual who may present more with that than a regular person?
So that is a common misconception.
Oh wow, I didn't know that. Sorry for that.
Because colorectal cancer from adenomatous polyps that occur in the colon, there is no increased risk in homosexuals at all. What homosexuals are at increased risk of developing is anal cancer, which occurs at the very end but where the colon becomes the anus, so at the very opening to the atmosphere when you go to the toilet, they are at higher risk of something called squamous cell cancer of the anus because of the trauma to that area. And that is a completely different type of cancer, and that has nothing to do with colon cancer and colonoscopies or anything like that. But to answer your question about the polyps, if a polyp has not transformed into a cancer, removing it is the cure. If a polyp has started to transform into a cancer, and we by the way we took it out, we got what we call an adequate margin, or we took enough, and the pathologist can say, I see normal tissue at the resection margin, then that is also cured. But if there's any suspicion that this is turned into a cancer and you did not get all of it, then we treat it as if that person has a cancer still in their body, and we have to be a little bit more aggressive. Now, there are some techniques, some advanced techniques, where things that are at the borderline, you can resect more aggressively at colonoscopy. We have some facilities to do that in Barbados, but we don't have all the bells and whistles and all the tools in our toolbox for that. So the key is to diagnose it at colonoscopy and to decide, is this something that can be removed safely at colonoscopy and that's the end of it, or is this something that is invasive and then now they need to have a segment of their bowel removed and then the two ends joined back.
So I hope that answers your question as far as that is concerned, Kamal.
My final question in terms of patient safety, Shane. Thank you very much for answering that question just now as well. For what reason is it there are more fiber drives, soluble and insoluble fiber drives for colorectal cancer month in terms of preventing it, getting the fiber in, so that the in fiber terms of the gastrointestinal tract with the peristalsis, the fiber may be able to help in terms of sensitizing the particular screen that you may need and so on before it happens to you?
Well, that is definitely, adequate fiber in your diet is definitely very important.
Yes, sir.
And I think we should do more to educate people on the sources of fiber and supplementing their fiber.
Yes,
but the people who are at risk of polyps and colon cancer, even if they start to take fiber as they should now, that does not reverse their life up to 40 or 35 or whatever.
Oh dear.
The changes that would, because remember the cells of the colon are constantly being
regenerated.
Regenerated. So yes, you can help protect them now going forward to 70, 80, 90, however all they will live. But if any of those mutations have already occurred, it's those mutations that make a polyp form. So if they already have a polyp or a cancer, this fiber drive is not going to reverse it. But yes, I do think that is an important point.
Well, thank you, sir. Appreciate you sharing. God bless. Bye-bye. Take care.
Very much.
God bless.
Thank you very much for your questions. They would have really helped our team here to answer some questions that others may have. And if you do have any questions, you know where to call us, 434-1007 and 434-1070. Nurse Sargeant, we heard a bit about the diet and how important that is. As part of your health promotion, is that a conversation you have with some of those who come to you in terms of getting on the right path as far as your eating is concerned, so that you help to start to be a part of that preventative mechanism as far as colon cancer is concerned?
And definitely diet is a conversation that we would normally have with persons. We normally ask persons or encourage persons to have a diet that is healthy, where you have lots of vegetables and fruits, which will be high in fiber. We also ask persons to stay away from the red meats and things like that, because
so this is like the steaks and the
and we like the the
roasted
pork. Well, I didn't want to say pork, but like the ham and the sausages and
you gotta call them, because if they're a problem, everything in moderation. But if it is an issue, we got to speak to it.
Yeah, so we definitely want persons to use things in moderation. We also look at the canned foods. We say processed meats. So because these are stored in various ways for preservatives, some of the ways in which they're stored is not always good for persons. Again, persons will say to me when we have this conversation, but this is cheaper than X, Y, or Z. So I always encourage persons, if you are going to use this, please use it in moderation. But I also bring up the conversation where persons can get back to the garden. You can start growing your own fruits and vegetables in your backyard, in buckets, in containers, and this would help in actually promoting, one, you would be eating what what you have grown, and two, it would be minimizing in terms of economics. So yes, diet has a lot to do when it comes to colorectal cancer.
And I would add to that, organic is normally better than any processed food anyway. So if you grow it in your garden, make sure you're not using any pesticides and those kind of things. You get a good quality product, and we have great soil here in Barbados, so healthy food makes the body feel good. Thank you, Nurse Sargeant. We'll take another quick break here. Remember, the Pulse Radio Show brought to you by MedSafe Medical Supplies Limited.
For all your medical supply needs, visit MedSafe Medical Supplies Limited. We offer a wide range of products including wheelchairs, walkers, canes, crutches, blood pressure machines, stethoscopes, and so much more. Conveniently located on Gemmett's Lane, just a 2-minute walk from the Queen Elizabeth Hospital. And for your convenience, we deliver free to the QEH. Open Monday to Saturday, 8:30 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. Call us at 624-7542. MedSafe Medical Supplies Limited, your trusted source for medical essentials.
Back with you on the Pulse Radio Show as we are speaking about colon cancer awareness here in Barbados. You heard the stats, you heard what you need to do, and some of the things that you need to look out for. And of course, that will continue for this entire month. The Caribbean Colon Cancer Initiative doing some great work. Before we go back to their calendar of events for 2025, some have gone, but you're not too late to get in on some of the great information that they'll be sharing. We have a caller here on the show. Welcome, caller, to the Pulse Radio Show. How can we help?
Yeah, good morning, sir, and good morning to Nurse Sargeant. Nurse Sargeant, I found your information very, very educational. You came to the college last week, you and your colleague, the doctor. So thanks for that. My question is, though, really the central location, because I also took a kit, but then I couldn't find where to drop it off.
Okay, so remember, sir, in the conversation we did have with you, we said that you normally would call us because we're a mobile unit. So
right.
The same leaflet that we would have given to you carries our number at the back. So once
right.
you have collected your sample, you would give us a call to find out where we are. And if we are close to you, we will come collect. Or if you're close to us, you can bring it.
Okay.
So you can look at the leaflet, or I can give you the number now, 832-5756.
Yeah, hold on a minute. Just repeat it for me, please.
832-5756.
5756.
And once I'm off air, you can call me and I definitely can collect.
All right. Thank you so much.
You are welcome.
Okay, bye-bye.
Yeah, thank you for calling the Pulse Radio Show. He spoke about the mobile unit. Talk about that.
Right. So because we are not based one place mainly, we move around the whole length of Barbados. So as you heard, he said we were at the college last week. So wherever we are called, we go. So I'm never stationed in one place, and I take Dr. St. John with me multiple times. So sometimes we go St. Joseph, whether it be a Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, whatever. Whenever we are called, we are on the move to let persons be aware and educated about colorectal cancer.
Well, it's a great approach because you got to meet the people where they're at. So you get out there, you get the message to them, and he called just to find out where he needs to take that sample so he can find out, doing the proactive thing, if he is in danger, at risk of colon cancer. So this is the type of approach we want to see. We really hope that when you see Nurse Sargeant out in the field with the mobile unit and Dr. St. John, answer the questions, answer the tough questions. You may want to know about the tests. As Dr. St. John mentioned, people are always a bit fearful or have their reservations about being tested. So let them calm those fears and best direct you about how you can be proactive and make your health a priority. Now, Sergeant, talk to us about some of the other activities you have during the month.
Okay, so on the 13th of this month, we have an interinstitutional quiz, and I must say again, QAH was very, very helpful in helping us to execute most of these events for the month, because this quiz will be held in the QAH auditorium. And it's a quiz where we have persons from the medical student side, the nursing students as well, under the Barbados Student Nurses Association, and we have some nutrition students. And what we are hoping to gather from this quiz is that it's not one team against the next, but each profession will actually be sitting together as one team. So you'll have one nurse, one doctor, and one nutrition student, and we are trying to show persons that to approach anything, whether it be cancer, diabetes, whatever, you need to take a multidisciplinary team approach, because one person cannot do without the other. And with this quiz, it will help build camaraderie. We are looking for persons not only to learn about colorectal cancer, but there will be general knowledge questions as well, and just build a healthy intervention together with the teams. So we're looking forward to seeing persons come into the auditorium to actually support this event. On the 15th, this is where we're really, really excited. This is our panel discussion. And for this panel discussion, we have persons from overseas who will be sitting on the panel, and they'll be doing that via hybrid or via Zoom. And we have persons from Barbados, such as Dr. Greg Padmore, Dr. Maynard from the GI unit will also be there, and Dr. Graves is also supposed to be there. And what they'll be speaking about there, the title is the colon conversation. And persons need to come out to this. It's going to be at the Lester Vaughan School, and this is in collaboration with the St. Thomas PIC, because this is part of their regathering activity. So we're asking persons to come out, whether you take a bus down or you gather persons from in the communities and bring them down via the bus. This information is going to be very, very important, and we really do not want persons to miss this. On the 23rd, this is our walk, first time ever to happen in Barbados for colorectal cancer. And Dr. St. John said he likes to put on his pink and support breast cancer, and we all love to do that, but we're asking persons to pay just as much attention to colorectal cancer and wear your blue. We're asking you to come out in your numbers, be it schools, churches, whoever. You come on out. You can obtain the shirts through the Caribbean Colon Cancer Initiative, and we are taking this walk for colorectal patients, but also to prevent colorectal cancer. The more you're educated, the more persons take a stance, then you'll be able to do something in terms of prevention. And we're ending off the month with a football match, and we had this last year, but this year we've expanded and made it a bit larger in terms of the persons that will be participating. So on the 30th, we're playing at the Weymouth Police Sports Club, and we have the prison service, police service, fire service, postal service, the Barbados Defense Force, as well as our own team CCCI, who were the winners from last year, if I may say. And we're building this camaraderie again, but we're also using this as an event to educate persons about colorectal cancer. Exercise is very important. Positive behaviors are very important in terms of reducing stress. So this is where we're asking persons to come out and support us. It's a one-day tournament, and it starts from 3 p.m.
Well, you were a part of that team last year, Esther.
No, I was just cheering them on.
Okay, you're a cheerleader. You're a cheerleader. All right.
Yes.
So please come out and support the events for CCCI's calendar of events for 2025. But I'm telling you, as you come to the events, you'll get some great information. It's all about prevention and early detection. We have another caller here on the Pulse Radio Show. Good morning, caller. How can we help?
Good morning. Peace be unto each and every one. A blessed and spirit-filled Lenten season to you all.
Yeah, we're enjoying it.
Shane, good morning to you, to Dr. St. John, and to the wonderful lady there.
Nurse Sargeant.
Dr. St. John, good morning.
Good morning. I haven't heard you in a long time. Good to hear your voice.
Oh, you know the voice.
Are you in Barbados or Dominica? Where are you today?
Pardon me?
Are you in Barbados? Are you
yes,
traveling?
Yes, I am. Father Martin passed away.
Oh, I'm sorry. Condolences.
Yes. I guess your aunt and them there would tell you.
Yes.
And they was very good to him, I must say.
Right. Yes.
The one overseas and Cheryl and all the others.
Excellent.
This sounds like a family affair.
The problem he's speaking about, he was my first surgeon.
Oh.
Yes, so he know me.
Oh, okay.
And I tell him something, he went and tell somebody else. Dr. St. John,
yes,
I am
ma'am.
calling, on a serious note, I am calling because I'm glad you mentioned, and Shane, I'm glad you mentioned the price. Because I told a few persons, and they had doubts of what I'm saying, so I'm glad, and you must repeat it before you leave again so that people will know. I'm glad you mentioned the price, so that is what I call.
You mean the $5,000 for the colonoscopy?
Yes.
Right, but that is just speaking to what it would cost in the open market and the cost, economically to a nation, right? Because we do not want to shy away from the facts and the truth of the matter. That test, be it that it is the best test available, it comes at a price quite literally, and that is why we struggle to facilitate everybody in Barbados, because it takes time. It takes resources in terms of the patient taking the bowel prep. It takes somebody to sedate the patient safely. It takes somebody to be skilled to be able to do the test. And then the equipment cost is actually the biggest cost, because these things, they have a shelf life, the technology changes and such. So, we can't shy away from that, and it doesn't last forever. And so that is why we've only had one set of equipment at the QEH, and we're now working to try to get 2, maybe 3 more, so that, because we have no shortage right now. We have, let's say, 4 of us that can scope, actually 5 of us that can scope are on staff at the QEH, 3 surgeons, 2 gastroenterologists, but we only can go one at a time. So we're still like rush hour traffic in front of CBC on an afternoon, right? one by one. But if you open a few more lanes, then we can get down the road in a hurry. So that's what we're trying to do.
I hope and pray that God will send some nice and some wonderful, kind-hearted person or entity that would help, and I hope that some more doctors would come on board. I want to say good morning to, congratulations to you, because you're in control now, Dr. Gill, there's so much for me to add, to see. I heard his name mentioned, Dr. Doyle.
Yeah, Dr. Doyle.
And my boss, Dr. Bernstein, and his staff.
Right. Dr. Doyle is actually doing a fellowship at Memorial Sloan Kettering, which is one of the biggest hospitals in New York. In New York. And when you hear him,
you must give him my regards. He's a very wonderful person.
But that is very important to note, because he's doing what we call a fellowship in surgical oncology, which deals specifically with cancer. Dr. Padmore is also a surgical oncologist, and he actually did one with a focus on disparities. So he's actually gone to Nigeria and worked in a resource poor setting, similar to us in terms of demographics, similar to us in terms of genetics, and similar to us in terms of resources and a lack thereof. And he actually was able to foster a relationship where Dr. Padmore went for a month to get some further endoscopic training.
That is good.
And so is this networking that we are also doing to try to share information. There was a West Indies Association of Gastroenterologists conference last year, April, at the Crane, so that we presented at, and we had some of the heavy hitters in the GI field participate and come to Barbados and enjoy. I mean, I must admit, the conference will last for half a day, and then the rest of the time they're at the beach, but we can't lie, that's what pulls them here. We get information and expertise. They get to enjoy Barbados. And then in November, the Caribbean Association of Endoscopic Surgeons is having its annual conference in Barbados. They move around the Caribbean, so
that
again,
very good.
We're trying to bring in keynote speakers from regionally and further afield. So not only are we trying to reach out to the masses and to get them to understand, screening of colon cancer, early detection, but we are also trying to be on the cutting edge of the field in terms of research.
But not crossing you, we were the beacon of the Caribbean when it comes to the Queen Elizabeth Hospital, and that's what I'm praying for again.
Yes,
because I love traveling to the other islands. About Barbados and QEH. So
excellent.
That I just hope for the best, and I just want that those who cannot afford, or even if we have to pay something, but for some it's very steep, because some don't have insurance and those things, and it is very steep. So I just hope that somebody will come aboard and assist with some equipment, and I hope that some doctors, get some other doctors to learn.
Yeah, Dr. St. John did mention that as you heard, that some doctors are doing fellowships, and then we're going to expand that GI unit, and we're getting some help. The Ministry of Health and Wellness also tapping in that regard. So a lot happening, and we will keep you abreast for sure. We're running out of time here.
All right. God bless and stay safe, everybody.
Yes.
Thank you.
See you next time. Thanks for calling as always. So a lot happening as far as the GI unit is concerned, and Dr. St. John and team will continue to work in that regard. Final words from you, Nurse Sargeant, as far as what the CCCI will be doing in the coming days.
Okay, so you've heard our itinerary where we have the various events coming up, but even after this month, we will be continuing with our awareness, and we will continue going into the communities, because we need to let persons see us. We need to meet them where they're at, and they need to be able to know where they can be screened once they meet the screening age. So I would say thanks. Dr. St. John spoke about the Dr. Doyle and being in Nigeria, and I must say that Dr. Doyle is actually on one of our panelists as the speaker on one of our panels, and Dr. Alatis, I think from Nigeria, is also that international speaker. So I'm asking persons to really come out to that panel discussion on Saturday the 15th.
Okay, and final words from you, Dr. St. John?
Right, so
very quickly,
as Esther would say, it doesn't hurt to look back. So, always be aware of your bowel habits and ask your healthcare professionals what your risk is and what test is best for you.
Always, and you can get all of the information right here on the Pulse Radio Show. And remember, we have our podcast, so even after you listen to us here, you can go to our website, www.qehconnect.com, and listen back and hear any information you may need from our professionals at the Queen Elizabeth Hospital. I'm Shane Seeley, thanking you for joining us for another edition of the Pulse Radio Show. I'll see you next week, where we'll be focusing on diabetes and how it's affecting our population. Until next time, be safe and be proactive as far as your health is concerned.
The Pulse Radio Show brought to you with the kind compliments of MedSafe Medical Supplies.
For all your medical supply needs, visit MedSafe Medical Supplies Limited. We offer a wide range of products including wheelchairs, walkers, canes, crutches, blood pressure machines, stethoscopes, and so much more. Conveniently located on Gemmett's Lane, just a 2-minute walk from the Queen Elizabeth Hospital. And for your convenience, we deliver free to the QEH. Open Monday to Saturday, 8:30 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. Call us at 624-7542. MedSafe Medical Supplies Limited, your trusted source for medical essentials.